Welcome back. Today is your Chapter 7 test review. Let's begin. We are going to look at questions, similar questions to what you can expect to see on your exam. Attempt every question so that you, and don't just watch them, so that you are best prepared for your exam. Question 1. All right, your equation is x squared minus 7x plus 6. You need to find me the x-intercepts and the y-intercept. I will give you 1 minute to attempt if you're in the class. At home you can pause, and then we will put the answer up. We can do that, yeah. All right, here we go. The y-intercept, this equation is in standard form, right? Which is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So the y-intercept is always the c. So the y-intercept is 6. And the x-intercepts, you need to factor. You were looking for two numbers that add to the middle term, which is -7, and multiply to the last term, which is +6. Two numbers that add to 7 and multiply to 6 are -6 and -1. And here's where a number of issues are happening on your quiz. People were getting x minus 6, x minus 1, and then they were writing those down as their x-intercepts, and they were moving on to the next question. Those are not the x-intercepts. You factored the equation, that's step 1. Step 2, to find the x-intercepts, you make y equal to 0. And now you're going to make each of these equations equal to 0, and you're going to solve for x. So essentially, x becomes the opposite of what it is right now, right? X minus 6 equals 0. If you solve for x, you're going to get x equals 6. Over here, you get x by itself, you get x equals 1. So if you factor it and you get x minus 6 and x minus 1, the x-intercepts are actually +1, +6. Okay? Let's try the next one. Let's go like that in blue. Okay, I want the domain, the range. I want to know the axis of symmetry and the vertex. Okay, this one should only take a moment. All right, so the answers are the domain, as always, is XER. The range, this graph opens up. The range, the lowest y value is -5. The highest y value is infinity, so y is greater than or equal to -5 for the range. The axis of symmetry is the x value, where the graph is cut in half, is x equals 3. And the vertex is either the maximum or the minimum point, and in this case is 3 and -5. Any questions about that one? All right. Moving on to the next question in your exam review. Okay. Given 2 points at 2 and 7 and -8 and 7, find me the axis of symmetry. All right, so the axis of symmetry is going to be equally split between those 2 points. So I just go x equals 2 plus -8 divided by 2. Just looking for the middle of those 2 points. 2 plus -8 is -6 over 2. The axis of symmetry is -3, or x equals -3. Any questions on that one?
Is that the only way you can find the axis of symmetry?
Yeah, I mean, you could draw the points on the graph if you wanted to. 2 and 7 and -8 and 7. And then you could just find the middle between those two, but it's faster to just do the middle this way. Okay, the next one uses the factored form. Y equals a, x minus r, x minus s. Okay. Here is your graph. Find me this equation. Okay? So find me the equation for this parabola. This one will take a little bit longer. For this one, I'm going to just help you out with this one because the answers on the test are probably a little easier than, a little less work than maybe it could be. All you need is the r and the s, which are the x-intercepts, right? So -5 and 4. We just put those into this equation. Goes on the test. It doesn't. This particular question is not worried about you finding a, so it'll just be x plus 5 and x minus 4.
You just put them in opposite?
Right, because of the negative signs in the equation. Okay, so all you're really looking at on that one is you're just looking for the x-intercepts, okay? All right, let's try this. Solve by factoring. Okay. Solve by factoring. Find me the two x-intercepts. All right, so in a trinomial, I'm looking for the two numbers that add to the middle term, which is -11. Multiply the last term, which is 24. Those two numbers are -8 and -3. Y equals x minus 8, x minus 3. Make y equal to 0 to find the two x-intercepts to solve for x. You will get x equals 8 and x equals 3. Any questions about that? Again, most of you can do the factoring, but don't stop there, right? You have to make both of those equal to 0. Question?
How did you get the -8?
Well, like for right here?
Yeah.
Well, I just thought about ways to multiply to 24, right? 24 and 1. 12 and 2, 6 and 4, 8 and 3. And if they have to multiply to a positive number and add to a negative number, both numbers have to be negative, right?
Yeah.
So then I was like, well, the only one of these where they're both negative that'll add to 11 is 8 and 3, so then I make it -8 and -3. Okay? Okay. What about this? The vertex form. Do you want to open the door, please? I think maybe it'll keep it a little cooler here. One of somebody might help a little bit. The vertex form is y equals a x minus h squared plus k. Your equation is y equals -2 x minus 4 squared plus 5. I want to know which direction this parabola goes, up or down. I want to know the vertex, and I want to know the axis of symmetry. Okay? Let's take a moment to try that. All right, here we go. The first thing I notice is that the A is negative, which means my graph opens down. The vertex, because of the negative sign on the H is opposite, right? So it'll be positive 4 and positive 5. And then hopefully you remembered that the axis is the same as the x value of the vertex. So x equals 4. Any questions on that one? All right, next. Okay. I'm going to give you two equations here. Does this have, for each question I have the same thing. Does this graph have a maximum point or a minimum point? Or value? Let me see. I guess it's kind of the same thing. Same thing here. Does this have a max value or a min value? I'll give you a minute to answer and then we'll explain why. We are about halfway through our review. Again, these questions are similar to what you can expect to see on the exam. So if this is going well right now, then hopefully your exam will go well as well. All right, the answers. This graph has a maximum value. This graph has a minimum value. How can you tell? Well, this graph, the A is negative, right? If the A is negative, the graph opens which direction? Down. If a graph opens down, it has a maximum point, right? Right up here somewhere. If a graph has a positive A, the graph opens up. If the graph opens up, it has a minimum point. The lowest point is down here somewhere. The highest point is forever. Okay? So if a graph opens down, it has a maximum point. If a graph opens up, it has a minimum point. Questions? Next. Now, let's take this, for example. Okay. Y equals x squared plus 8x plus 12. Now, the question on the exam says to solve it using the quadratic formula. If you remember what the quadratic formula is, that's x equals negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Now, as I said during the 7.7 video, you could use the quadratic formula to find the x-intercepts of anyone, right? This works every time, okay, which is why some people like it. But you don't have to do it, right? If you're good at factoring trinomials, and if factoring the trinomial is possible, you can just do that, okay? So you might look at this and see, like if I were doing this question, it says solve using the quadratic formula. I don't know if I need to do that. If I can do it in a faster way, that's what I'm going to do. So I look at the numbers, add to 8, multiply to 12, adds to 8, multiply to 12. Oh, that's 6 and 2. So did I need to bother with the quadratic formula? No. I mean, I could make this, you know, 1a, b is 2, or sorry, b is 8 and c is 12, and plug them into my formula, but I'm going to just end up right here anyways, right? So then I'd go x plus 6, x plus 2, that's equal to 0. And once again, I'd make both of those equal to 0, and I'd solve for them, and I'd get x equals -6, x equals -2. So don't feel like you have to use the quadratic formula if you could otherwise just solve it on your own, okay?
So is that the only way you can use the quadratic formula?
What do you mean?
Is there any other way you can use the quadratic formula?
The only purpose of the quadratic formula is to find you your x-intercepts. So like if I gave you this, y equals x squared minus 4x plus 13 or something, I don't know how to factor that like a trinomial, right? Because I don't know what adds to 4 and multiplies to 13. Then I'd have to use the quadratic formula to solve that, which will give it, what?
Is there any question on a test where you have to?
No.
So we don't need to use the quadratic formula at all?
Not unless you want to. If you struggle factoring trinomials, then you can. It'll be on the board, but you don't have to use it. Okay? Here's what I want you to do. Okay. So the x-intercepts are 5 and 8. Okay? We're going to use the factored form for this one. And in this question, the formula that they want you to use is given to you in the question. Okay? So the x-intercepts are 5 and 8. The graph passes through the point, I don't know, 4 and 7, and find A.
It
Okay.
passes through those points 4 and 7, or those are the vertex?
No, that's not the vertex. But if it tells you the R and the S are your intercepts, right?
Yes.
So this is like your R. This is your S. If it passes through the point 4 and 7, this is your X. This is your Y. And you can plug those in to find out what A is. Because now you have a value for Y, X, R, X, S. So plug those all in and then solve for A. Okay? Take a minute and try, and then we'll put the answer up. All right, so if I were to plug these numbers in, 7 is Y equals A, X is 4 minus 5, and 4 minus 8. 4 minus 5 is -1. 4 minus 8 is -4. -4 times -1 is +4. Divide both sides by 4. A is 7 over 4, or you could write it as a decimal, 1.75. Okay? Any questions on that? That
Were we given 4 and 7, or how did they?
yeah, because it said the graph passes through the point 4 and 7. And the reason they're giving you that is because they want you to put those in for x and y. Okay? That otherwise you can't find.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, you could. You'd have to. Yeah. Let's not confuse you. The way they give it to you on the test is like this. So, okay, we have one more to do. Okay, there's only one graphing question on the test, and it's the last one. So let's try this before we send you off to do your exam. Y equals x squared plus, no, yeah, okay, plus, no, let's not make it too big. 5x no, hang on. That's not going to work. Oops. Sorry, I gotta change it slightly. My mistake. Those numbers aren't gonna work the way we want. Let's go like this. X squared plus 4x minus 5. Okay? I need you to find me the x-intercept, x-intercepts, the y-intercepts, intercept, the axis of symmetry, the vertex, and then you can graph. Okay? There you go. I'll give you 2 minutes to try it, and then we'll put the answer up. All right, let's start working it out here. The first thing I notice is the y-intercept is -5. The x-intercepts I have to factor. So y equals x plus 5 and x minus 1. As positive 5 and negative 1 are the two numbers that add to positive 4 and multiply to negative 5. I make both of those equal to 0. So my x-intercepts are negative 5 and negative 1. Sorry, positive 1. So I have a y-intercept of negative 5. I have an x-intercept of negative 5 and positive 1. The axis of symmetry is the middle of those 2 points, so I go negative 5 plus 1 divided by 2. Negative 4 over 2 is negative 2. So my axis of symmetry is at negative 2. Then I can find my vertex. Remember, the vertex is in the form xy. I've already got the x. So now I can plug the negative 2 into one of my equations here to find y. I'll just use the first one. Equals negative 2 squared plus 4 times negative 2 minus 5. 4 minus 8 minus 5. 4 minus 8 is negative 4, minus 5 is negative 9. So your vertex is at negative 2 and negative 9.
First off, it says that x, like in the very first part you did, says x equals negative 1, and then doing finding the axis of symmetry, you said x plus, like it's plus 1. Would that be a negative 1 or no?
No, I use my x-intercepts.
Yeah.
My x-intercepts are negative 5 and positive 1. So that's what I used here. Negative 5 and positive 1. The x minus 1 is just, I got that from when I factored. But then I have to find the x-intercepts. I have to make both of those equal to 0, right? That's what I did here. That tends to be the step that you forget. Now, once you've got the vertex and the x-intercepts, you can just connect your dots. And you're done. Okay? So, like I said, there's only one graphing question on the exam, and it's just like this one. Okay? So this is a pretty comprehensive review of what you can expect to see on the exam. So hopefully you're a little more prepared now. Thank you. Have a good day.